Hi guys, Keeper Eric out here at Village Park Zoo, and we're going to do a live chat with the meerkats. It's feeding time. I brought their food in. Going to take a look at it. We've got some apple, we've got some sweet potato and some carrot cut up there, and then this is meat, the same meat that we feed to the tiger and the snow leopards. They just get a smaller amount. And then there might be a couple mealworms crawling around. There's a mealworm. There might be some mealworms too. And then their least favorite thing is this cat food. They only eat the cat food, everything else is gone. So, let's put their food on the log here. Just spread it out so they'll come up here and eat. And then I'm going to scoot out of the way so I won't be bugging them. And it'll take a minute for them to come over and start eating.
They're like, why are you still standing here? I can see one down here.
Yeah, they're anytime there's two people in here, they get kind of freaked out because they think we might be trying to catch them and do something to them. There we go. There's a mealworm. Like that.
Oh, we have our first question from Sarah. What would be a special food treat for them?
A special food treat. There's lots of special food treats that we can give these guys. They like sweet things like honey and jelly. They like peanut butter. They like bugs, so we've given them some mealworms. One of their favorite things to do is chase crickets around. But we can also give them worms, pretty much anything like that they'll eat. And then hopefully you saw the video last week where I gave them a couple eggs and they ate the eggs. That's another one of their favorite things to eat. They're back in here.
I can see one sitting in the doorway, but
Let's do this if they're not really. We'll bring the food to them so it's a little closer.
we have another question from Marin. How many meerkats do you have?
Right now we just have two meerkats. They're brother-sister pair. They're in their mid-teens, and they're not terribly old. Let's see if we can get them to move. Move towards the camera, guys. There we go. So they're in their mid-teens, which is not terribly old. They can live to be up to maybe about 20 in captivity. So these guys are
good.
That
was Amy's next question.
How
old do they get?
They get to be about 20 typically in captivity. So here at the zoo, we give them all sorts of good medical care. If their teeth are giving them problems, we'll pull their bad teeth, we'll clean their teeth. In the wild, if they start having tooth problems, they may not be able to eat as much, which would cause them a lot of problems with the food they eat out in the wild. They're too freaked out to eat right now. Is that one eating?
No,
They're just
thinking about it.
They're very confused. We don't typically come in here and do live chats with them. So, there we go. Come on. They're just watching us because they're wondering what we're doing.
Does anybody else have any more questions?
One thing we can do is talk about how meerkats live in big groups out in the savannah, which are called mobs. That's the name of their group. They don't live in flocks or anything. They live in mobs. Oh, do they have names? Do the meerkats have names? Not really. I think we gave them a couple names. I'm not big on naming my animals. Sometimes I give them names if I think of something creative. But I'll just call them here boy, here girl, brother, sister, something like that.
Have there been any changes for the animals with the zoo being closed? Sean would like to know.
Some of the animals have had some changes. Not so much in here, except they don't have a stream of visitors coming through to look at or interact with. But some of the animals get to spend a little bit more time outside maybe, or a little bit less time, depending on what we're doing. You know what we should probably do is maybe we should head out of the exhibit here.
Sure.
Since they don't want to eat. Let's do that. And we'll continue watching them as soon as we get out.
To use our double door system here.
Yeah, we will make sure the meerkats don't get out. There you go.
Oh, see, they started eating as soon as we left. Brody would like to know, how much food does it eat a day?
How much food do they eat a day? Well, we don't give them, we just give them food together as a pair. And it's a couple, probably about 20 grams of meat, which is maybe a golf ball size total, split between the two of them. And they get just a little bit of cat food, maybe like a tablespoon of cat food. And then they each get some apple and sweet potato or carrot or pear, something like that. And that'll probably be about a quarter cup each, maybe. These guys are inside all the time, so they eat about the same amount of food all the time. When we have animals outside, something like the wolves or even the wallabies, they'll eat a lot more in the winter because their bodies need to produce a lot more heat. But here inside the building, it's pretty consistent year round.
Audrey, age 6, would like to know if they can run fast.
They can run fast. They can run very fast. And if you've ever had to try to catch one, you'll know that they're much faster than we are. What my goal is now is to train them to go into a crate on command. And this is something you could do with your dog or cat at home. Sometimes your pets really love going in crates, and sometimes they're scared of it. So one thing you can start to do is put the crate out and put a little bit of food nearby, a little treat that they like, and they'll start getting used to it. So it's my goal to get these guys used to a crate, and then when I put the crate in, they'll want to go in because it's a fun place. And then I don't have to chase them because it gets kind of stressful.
You've kind of answered this before, but Heidi would like to know if we are ever going to have meerkat babies.
These two will never have babies because they're a brother-sister pair, and we have fixed the male to make sure that nothing will happen. In the future, I don't know what's going to happen. These guys are living good. They're happy right now. It's really hard to introduce meerkats to each other because the different mobs out in the savannah don't really get along together. So when you introduce one, they see them as not a friend but a competitor, and so they tend to fight a lot. So I think these guys are going to be here, and then when these guys get older and start to pass away, then we'll figure out exactly what we're going to do and if we're going to have babies again.
Sarah would like to know, what other animals would they typically live with in the wild, or do they stay with their own group?
That's a good question. I think probably they spend a lot of time just interacting with other meerkats. They live in a kind of a deserty environment, so there are other animals around. I know that meerkats are a type of mongoose, and there are certain species of hornbills that will follow the mongoose around. So what happens is the meerkats or the mongoose will be going through and they'll scare up some bugs or something like that. And that will allow the hornbills to find the bugs and then go over and eat them. So it's kind of a relationship they have where they're not really friends or anything, but they will spend time near each other for that reason.
Mary would like to know, how long have you had them?
How long have we had them? These guys are going to be 14 years old in August. So we've had this particular pair. They've been here since they were born, 14 years. And then we've had meerkats probably since the building opened. Zoo Lab opened in about 2000, I think. And I think they were the first animals to live in this exhibit. So that's about 20 years.
Marin asked, what other animals in the wild do they resemble?
What other animals do they resemble? Well, like I
I think
said,
you said they were in the mongoose
they're
family.
they're in the mongoose family, which includes, there's all sorts of different mongooses, dwarf mongooses and banded mongooses, and mongooses live in Africa and also in Asia and India, places like that. So they look very closely like those. They're not related to prairie dogs. Prairie dogs are rodents, but they do kind of live in that same large group. They live in burrows in the ground. So a lot of people think these guys are prairie dogs, but they're really not. Prairie dogs are going to eat almost entirely plants, and these guys will eat a lot of meat as well as a little plants.
That kind of touches base on Marin's other question. Where do you typically find meerkats state-wise? So I think
Yeah, these guys are African, and they live in like the Kalahari Desert. So kind of sub-Saharan Africa. They are desert creatures. So you're going to find them not so much out on the savannah, but more kind of in the deserty areas.
Lainey, age 9. How big will they get?
This is as big as they get. These guys are full grown. So they're about a kilogram, which is about 2 pounds or so. And they're probably, about 10 inches long or a foot long, something like that.
Ashley, her daughter would like to know if they hibernate.
These guys will not hibernate because they do live in the desert where it's warm year-round. And so they're always going to be active. And here at the zoo, it's always about 72 degrees in the building. So they will never hibernate because it's the same temperature all the time.
Let's do Randy's last question. Do they have a clocked memory as to the time of day when the keeper brings their food?
These guys, I think that if you're ever here, when they see any keeper, they're always hopeful that it's food. So the tiger, about 3 o'clock, the tiger starts getting active every day.
The tiger's got a really good internal clock.
The tiger does. These guys are just always ready to eat. So, and we tend to feed them fairly early in the morning. So they don't start getting hungry. They're hungry all the time, I would say.
They are one of those animals that are hungry all the time.
They're a little chunky right now. They're a little, not too bad.
They're winter weight.
They're winter weight year round, yes.
All right.
Are we good?
Yeah.
All right, thanks for coming, guys. We will do another chat at 10:30 tomorrow. I think we have a good one planned with
Diets.
We're
going to show us some diets.
We haven't decided what we're doing Wednesday, but you guys had some great questions, and it's real fun to interact with you, even though the zoo's closed. So hopefully we'll keep doing it, and we'll do something really awesome on Wednesday, too. Tune in tomorrow at 10:30. Thanks.